Benoy, thanks a million for joining me today.
Thanks for calling me.
Let's start with a little bit about you and your background and the company you're working for, Frost & Sullivan.
Okay, so my name is Benoy. I lead the digital transformation vertical for Frost & Sullivan in this region. Frost & Sullivan, as you may know, is a leading research and consulting organization. We are headquartered in US. It's a 55-year-old company. We started our operation in Middle East almost a decade back. So we are working with many clients here across different verticals in helping them understand what is digital transformation all about, what's the opportunity they have for the digital vendors who offer digital transformation services. And also we help the users or end users in implementing digital transformation in their organization to improve efficiency or enhance customer experience or anything which they want to do with respect to digital transformation.
Excellent. So you work as a consultant then within the actual digital transformation division within the business?
Yes, we do work as a consultant. We're a consulting organization. Our major stream of business is consulting. So we provide advisory services to both the vendor community as well as for the user community. So when I say vendor community, we're talking about the technology vendors who provide solutions for the technology majors. We work with them to understand what are the opportunity they have for the new technologies which they're coming out. What are the adoption which they see in the market? What are the key trends they see in the market, so that they can help them implement a good strategy so that they can grow within the organization, within the field. And we also work with the end user community, which is basically the large verticals or users of technology, in helping understand what that technology means for them and how they can leverage it to for the better business or driving the better business with them.
So from your perspective then, what new emerging technologies do you see having the most impact on the industries that you're working in, and what trends are you recognizing that you're seeing that are having the biggest impact?
Okay, so if you look at digital transformation as a subject, is really gaining major importance across verticals. Now, I think every organization started realizing that it's an important thing which they need to do. It's more of, I consider digital transformation a double-edged sword, which one way if you really use it well, you can go and kill the competition and keep gaining market. But if you don't to play the game well, you yourself will get out very soon. So I think the importance of digital transformation is something which every organization has now started realizing it. So it is being pushed from different angles. One is pushed from the customer perspective, because customers are also pushing you to move to a more digital way of dealing with them. Your employees are pushing it because they are coming from a social, completely digital. So they also want you to adopt new technology. Your partners are pushing it. So the entire ecosystem is moving towards a more digital world. In that context, it has become an imperative for every organization to really look at how it can be used internally and how it can be used effectively within an organization to grow the business.
So have you come across then any very solid examples of companies that have really done an excellent job at business or digital transformation?
There are many examples in all verticals which we see. The way the business is getting delivered is also changing. When the business models are changing, gone are the days in which everybody is providing value for money kind of concept. Now there's a change towards value for many. So you build a product, you try to see how much I can provide more value to more number of customers using the same platform, and you should delivering as a platform as a solution. So the business models are getting changed, and the thought processes are changing internally in terms of how it can be adopted in an organizations. So if you look at examples, you can see many banks can start as one of the leading implementers of technology. They have always been the digital thing. They've seen how they can use technology to look at entire span of the life cycle of a customer. They have tried to see how it can be enhanced or improved in providing more customer experience. So chatbot started coming in. Now if you look at our Frost & Sullivan predicts that by probably 2021, 80% of all the interactions which will happen online will be automated. And we already started seeing that in the digital world, in the finance services, where you see a lot of chatbots getting implemented.
I find that interesting actually, because you do get a lot of these statistics thrown around. I find that by this date, X amount of companies will be using this, and we all hear that, let's say, AI was a big topic in 2017, that's continued in 2018. big buzz around AI, but really I find things like this take a lot longer to actually become implemented in real world scenarios. What do you think it is that stops companies from moving ahead faster, or where do you think the challenges are that some of these companies have in moving at a quicker speed to transform digitally or within their business?
Okay, this is a good question. If you really look at the time frame in which how the technologies will be adopted in the organization, it varies from organization to organization, depends on what level of maturity they are. And talking about AI, for example, today I just made a presentation on AI and how that will get implemented in across different verticals. And you see that again, Frost & Sullivan, with the numbers which I can talk about, we have our prediction that around 90% of enterprises across the globe will be using AI in some form or other in their organization in the next by 2021. So when you say AI, it can be of different level of maturity. It can't be. So AI also it can be different on what level. Even a small chat bot is an AI.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, or even a speech recognition for that matter is trying to is something which we're trying to put artificial intelligence on top of it. But when I say real AI, there are different levels. So the first level which I'm talking, this is more of a programmed AI, which we call as maturity 1. And when it reaches the next level, we call it as narrow AI. So the narrow AI is something which what we really see right now. For example, self-driving cars is a good example of a narrow AI, where the maturity is little higher. And if you really look at the next level of maturity, which we all really want to achieve, is probably what we call as general AI. So where we are trying to have some kind of pattern recognition on top of this and try to use that in different decision making which machines can do in place of humans. So that will take some more time, so which I believe that will another take 12 to 15 years to really mature. And probably say after that, then you have what we call super AI, which is the ultimate goal which everybody want to achieve, where there's a feedback mechanism on top of the general intelligence, and we probably will reach there. I don't know the timeline, but that's something which the market will do. So I think every organization will be using AI in some form or other. They start with their own what benefits them most, with minimum investment to start with. They start realizing the benefit out of it, and then see how they can slowly automate different processes and try to reduce the inefficiencies and improve the customer experience is something which will have a huge impact.
Obviously, being a consultant in this space yourself, what kind of, I know if you're able to talk about it, but what kind of real world examples of AI implementation can we expect to see, let's say, in the next few years?
So there are many examples of AI getting implemented right now. For example, if you take healthcare as a sector, you can see that AI is getting used across the value chain, starting with drug discovery. So if you look at pharma industry, the AI is really used to see how you can shorten the drug discovery process. And somebody who in the pharma industry really know in terms of what really means in terms of money when you really create a drug a little faster than your competitor. So AI is getting used there for drug discovery or shortening the drug discovery process. AI is getting used for medical image analysis. So you have a lot of medical images coming from MRI, CT scans and all other things. So now the general form is that we go and the image is seen by the doctor and he is left to this doctor's seeing that, and he just take decisions on top of that. So, but when we actually apply AI on top of it, you combine a whole lot of images across the world, and if you really run analysis, then the machine or the system will be able to predict some kind of pattern that is coming up from the image, and we'll be able to suggest the doctors that these are the couple of things which you should really look at before taking a decision on terms of that. So that's another thing which is really.
So you see it as an opportunity for improved decision making rather than an alternative to.
That's exactly. It's not completely. We're not trying to replace human. We're trying to assist human. So AI is basically trying to assist the human in making the right decision. For example, one portion of the AI is what we call a knowledge AI. So knowledge AI is nothing but what you're trying to recollect the information what is already fed into the system. So here we are testing against the memory. So human memory will always have limitations, but if you once you put in the system and if you ask a question, then it automatically pop up the right options which you should really look at. Then you apply your sense and take whether it really makes sense, and then accordingly take a decision. So AI is always going to be an assistant for a human to take decision, a better decision or a better informed decisions.
Okay, so I mean, there's lots of different opinions about this out in the market. Do you see any drawbacks to AI implementation? You know, I just touched on it being an advantage in decision making rather than replacing individuals. But is there any other challenges you see with this rise of AI?
No, there are a lot of challenges when you look at implementing AIs, because what we are trying to do in AI is trying to imitate what a human brain does. So when you look at human brain, the capability is much more. There are a lot of heuristic, there are a lot of complex decision making process which happens through experience, and it's very difficult to define also how our human brains function. So there is complexities involved. But what is eventually happening is that everybody is trying to understand some of the key patterns and trying to document it and digitize it. And when an input comes and they try to go through this different pattern recognition and give you some different ways in which it has been done as a machine. But as I rightly said, finally the humans has to get involved on top of it and take some decision. So that's where the super AI I'm talking about is far away from us. Yeah. So we can only talk about some improvement of what we can do, some kind of automation. So people start calling AI because that's a very sexy term, and a lot of investment coming. So even a small improvement, what anybody talking about machines start doing, they call under AI. But the true power of AI depends on what level of maturity you're looking at, what's the application you're looking at, and what are we trying to achieve out of that entire implementation.
Okay, let's say aside from AI, any other technologies that you're seeing that are going to be very prominent in the next couple of years?
I think another technology which is really coming is IoT. Internet of Things is something which is gaining traction across different verticals, and trying to use IoT for many of the applications. So this is more of extending your decision making, or whatever you do in the digitization. We're extending it to Internet of Things, and IoT is another area which I think there's still a lot of.
So like Google Assist or Amazon Alexa?
Yes, that is also a part of IoT, but I'm talking more of IoT in terms of supply chain, or in terms of connecting the different things and devices which is spread across it, and you're communicating and getting them to a common platform, and so that you can communicate with them. So that's something which is really making a lot of traction across different world.
Okay, excellent. One final question then, you yourself, where do you see the big opportunities for embracing technology for companies over the next, let's say, 5 years?
So I think the best way which an organization look at is that now adopting technology, how I can change the business model. Because the impact in changing the business model with the help of digital technologies is very high. You can completely reduce the inefficiencies in the system and start offering it to a very high, large volume of customers, which makes it much more relevant or high impactful thing. So if you really look at how you can implement digital technologies in organization, there are a lot of things which you can do some incremental improvement with digital. But I would advise you to look at a top-down approach and see how you can really look at changing your business model, and can you adopt digital technologies and change your business model and offer a different level of services, where you can actually probably increasing your customer base from what we are currently looking at a global view, and trying to increase your spread. So that's something which is actually possible by actually implementing digital technology in your organization.
Okay, excellent. Benoy, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much.